This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning from the drone shot up in the sky above Juma Private Game Reserve here in the Sabi Sands. It is a cool 14 degrees Celsius, 57 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a beautiful dawn, and Sebastian Rombi is in the sky with the drone showing you exactly what a misty morning in winter looks like. Absolutely gorgeous. Well, we are running out of batteries, so Seb is going to slowly bring the drone back and land, and we're going to continue on with the Game Drive Safari. Isn't that gorgeous? Please, folks, remember to drop through your questions, hashtag SafariLive, or drop it through on the YouTube stream. Let us know how you're doing, what you'd like to see this morning. Isn't that just gorgeous? Okay, the drone is returning back to camp, or back to the vehicle, should I say, due to battery issues. Not issues, but these things do run down. And good morning, my name is Steve Falconbridge, and Sebastian is just over there, and he is busy piloting at the moment, so he is not going to be able to pan himself over across to himself. But in a short while, once we have the drone back on board and batteries and everything is packed back in, we'll be commencing on a game drive. So last night we had some really interesting activity. We parked right here, and we did a bit of a drone test with a thermal, because we had the thermal out already this morning looking for some spots. We could not find them, but last night the Nkuhuma Pride started stalking just up here on the southern side of quarantine where we are, and live. Well, we went and did an action broadcast, but Kirsty's going to cut some things as well. It was fantastic. They came through and they started stalking wildebeest in the open clearing here. They were running past the car. It was really quite a bit of an adrenaline pump for the both of us. Sebastian, obviously being slightly off the car, was brave enough. He only finally climbed on the end when the lions were walking right past us. So, very exciting evening indeed. Very exciting evening indeed. So, Seb, are you coming in? Yeah, almost back. The drone is almost back to land. He's got lots of practice at this now. There's a little mat on the floor there that he aims to land right in the middle, and he gets very disappointed with himself if he doesn't land right in the middle. Seb, I think you're going to land in the middle this time. My money is on you. Yes? Well, you can cut back to the drone if you want, just for a moment, Faith, as it comes back in to see quarantine and to see us from the air once more for the last few moments before it lands. There it is. You can see half houses on the right, and there is our vehicle parked, and there's the open clearings of quarantine all around us. And the lions were coming up from the left there, and they stalked the wildebeest in the middle of quarantine, who all ran down below the picture and out again. Okay, well, it's going to get very noisy soon, Faith, as the drone comes in to land. Okay, and while we get prepared to land, James Hendry, who's been out with me this morning already, would like to say good morning.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this end of the Sunrise Safari. Do you like my new hat? I think it's very nice. I found it on the road the other day, in fact last night. The lions seemed to have walked over it and left it alone, so I'm not sure why it was there. I shall have to announce on the radio that I have found it. But for that, now I'm going to wear it. It keeps my bonds a little bit warmer than it might be otherwise. Now, there was great report of lion activity around here, shouting and roaring apparently. Hosanna came running past the dam cam at some stage during the morning. We've driven out here now for over an hour looking around, haven't found one track of one cat. So I don't know what went on here. Ghost lions roaring and growling and shouting. This is the pan where Hosanna has been for the last, well, almost a week now, I think. I know he's not here because I'm sure you guys would have found him. Sorry, what animal is that, Aubrey? Hyena. Copy that, thank you. Lions have gone south, everyone. They've gone south into Little Gari. There's property to the south of us. There's a hyena there, just ghosting through the woodland. Thank you, Jim. You say I look like a diva. Really? I can't imagine Mariah Carey ever wearing a hat like this. Let me turn it upwards. Alright, the best way to figure out what's going on, of course, from tracks in the night, is on foot.
Good morning to you all. I am Sydney and I'm going to be with you this morning. I am not traveling alone this morning. I am with Senzo, my camera operator, as well as Rex, my game scout. I am going to be looking for some interesting animals for you. The weather this morning is excellent despite quite a lot of mist. I can see there now during the sunrise there is a lot of mist. It's not clear at the moment, which might make it a little bit difficult for me to see some animals, which can also cause some other problems, because when I cannot see very well, it can also be very much dangerous to me. So I am going to start my trekking from here, and for your questions and comments, you can follow us on Twitter, #SafariLive, and also on YouTube chat stream. So I'm just trying to check here and see what I can find now at the beginning, but I can't find tracks. I prefer to do trekking early in the mornings because that is when the tracks are not yet disturbed. Trekking is better than looking for these animals because looking is not easy, but trekking I can be able to see and judge, and I can also determine the age of the track, so which makes it much more easy for me to get hold of these animals. But if I can just look around and try to look around, it won't be easy to see animals that are hiding behind these bushes. But if I follow the tracks are going to lead me to these animals. Thank you very much. A very good morning to you all again. So let me see if I can find something. Now maybe we can go to other colleagues and see what they are doing on the other side. Maybe things are happening already on the other side.
Things are happening. Hosanna has got himself a kill in this tree, but I don't think he made that kill. Now, the reason I say that is because we watched him all of yesterday. That looks to me, I mean, I'm guessing, but it looks to me like an impala. It's that size. And for him to have eaten that much of it in one night, I think is unlikely. Now, there are tracks of wild dogs around here, and I wonder if he didn't steal it from them. Well, this is exciting. Turn up for the books, as it were. Let's do a little drive around the tree, Craig, and we'll just see if we can't see how much is left. Maybe I'm mistaken. There are two hyenas at the base of the tree and another one lurking. And the hyena that came up here looked up, and that's what made me look up. And Craig and I said, oh, there's a leopard. But Craig didn't say it quite like that. He said, oh, leopard, which was his way of being very excited. Yeah, it's an impala. There's no ways he's killed that last night. Sammy Jane, of course Hosana's a thief. All of these predators are thieves. They're all adept scavengers except the wild dogs. They don't thief. This is going to be lovely when the light comes onto him. I see that my game drive volume is not working at all anymore. Okay, Faith, will you just give me a little comms test there? Sorry everybody, I'm just going to figure out what's going on with my radio. Ah, it's been rewired. Yep, I got you, Faith, I got you. Now you see how much is finished of this kill. You see also that it is definitely an impala, and it wasn't a small impala. So I do wonder if young Hosana didn't lift this from something. Whatever the growling was that was heard on the damn cam yesterday, I really don't think the... Well, I suppose it's possible. I really don't think that it was lions that were making the noise around here last night. Many of you asking if this is perhaps the kill that he stole, or that Tingana stole from him, that he's stolen back. I don't think so, because it's a long way from the tree where that was. They had that stashed in a jackalberry tree about 200 meters away. So I'm really not sure why on earth he'd have brought it here. I also think they finished it. I mean, 2 of them sat on that kill for 2 days. You know, unless what's happened here is that he stashed this kill in the tree. She-Cadius, the hyenas most certainly have learned to follow Hosana. The other option, of course, is that he killed this thing here, that the hyenas ate some of it, left it for a second, and he grabbed the rest and took it up the tree. That's also possible. Look at them, hopeful fellows. Bad luck. Can't climb. But we do thank you, hyenas, for leading us to Hosana. Dory, describing Hosana as an entrepreneur is a little bit like describing Pablo Escobar as an entrepreneur. He was an entrepreneur, but he wasn't necessarily a particularly, what shall we say, admirable businessman. That's probably a bit unfair. I think comparing Hosana with Pablo Escobar is unfair. Yeah. There's an impala, not an impala, a hyena taking a piece of impala. Oh dear, Greg, you're making that grinding sound again with your camera. Hello? Boy, the male leopard in comparison with a hyena is pretty... big female hyena weighs about 70 kilograms. Big male leopard in this area around about 65 kilograms. So I mean they're pretty much of a size. But a male leopard would be bigger than a male hyena. He'd also be a lot quicker, but he'd be a lot less willing to take risks. Gorgeous sighting here. Most pleased with the results so far of our drive. Better than a kick in the pants, isn't it, Craig? Craig seems fairly ambivalent about that. Craig, you clearly haven't received much of a kick in the pants before. All righty, let's go and find out how Sydney is enjoying the rising of the sun.
It's quite a lovely morning. You can see the sunrise there is showing that it's going to be a clear sky this afternoon. Yes, there has been a little bit of mist earlier on, but now the sun is coming out. So things are going to happen now. Sunrise in Africa is always beautiful. It never gets old. So birds are very much excited at the moment. Some of them, they will be up in trees trying to do what is called sunbathing, because when the sun is coming out, these birds, they prefer to go and open their feathers and try to use the sun in order to get rid of the parasite. Oh, one of them started already. I can see there is a small bird. I'm not sure. It seems like it is an owl. Right by that branch on that tree where the sun is showing, there is something I can't see very well, but looking at the shape, it seems like it's a pale spotted owl. I think that bird decided to disappear. Yes, it is a pale spotted owl. I can hear that pale spotted owl calling. Wisteria Whisper, yes, indeed, it is a gorgeous sunrise. Here in Africa, this is what we are seeing. Specifically from here, Juma, where I am, the sunrise by this season, it looks very beautiful. So you must remember that the sun, it doesn't come out at the same direction every time. So this season is coming out from that side. So now I am going to carry on looking for this animal so we can now go and see what my other colleagues are having on the other side.
Thanks, Sydney. Well, we have spotted James on our way away from quarantine, and I can't believe how far Hosanna was from where we were, maybe 100 meters, if that. And we just spotted him now up in that tree. How magical is that? Well, we're going to follow up on our northern sort of eastern side. Rex and with Sydney have apparently got some wild dog tracks there, so we're going to see if they've crossed out into Buvelsoek. And we're going to do a big loop onto the western side, because Tristan was actually on a game drive with some Nkoro people last night and gave us a report that female cheetah with her cubs were kind of on their way from Arathusa to this direction, so that would be worthwhile going and having a look. So that will be us for the next little while. We had a really long look this morning for the Unkuhumas with the thermal drone, and we didn't find them on their regular sort of area, so we're going to have to try pick up on their tracks. And there's a good chance, I mean, the distance that they can travel in just a small period of time is quite large. But we did have a proper little scan this morning, and they were quite hungry, so it's possible that they might have even crossed out towards the north. Not towards the north, towards the east. We'll have to see. Have to see. And let's go and see where these tracks of the wild dogs are taken to. And there's potential that they've crossed out north into Buvelsoek. But it's worth a look. Beautiful morning. It was such a nice way to start with the drone shot. And talking about beautiful mornings and things to see in the early light, let's go have a look at the little chief.
There is the little chief, and I must confess that his dining companions have not washed before coming to dinner. They are deeply smelly, these hyenas. Giving further credence to my thought, or to my theory, that cats clean themselves in order to not smell for their predators, their preys. All right, so we have been blessed with some identifications for these hyenas from Chris Rogue. Thank you. You say we've got Pretty on the left, and who on the right there, Faith? Taka. Oh, Taga. Taga on the right and Pretty on the left, which interestingly, well, Taga means happy, so that's quite nice. We've got Happy and Pretty sitting underneath the tree here. I used to know some of these hyenas when we had a den site. I'm afraid I've forgotten them all. Pretty's got a nasty little ear scratch, and in fact a couple of wounds. Nasty wound on the front right shoulder there. You just go down a bit, Craig, yeah. They are tough as old boots, these hyenas. Sushant, it really depends on where they are. These hyenas in this part of the world tend to do more scavenging than they do hunting. But in the East Africa, for example, where Jamie and Brent have been around at the moment with the Happy Zebra clan of hyena, yes, that is their name, the Happy Zebra clan, that clan of hyena basically lives on the trail of a herd of buffalo. And they will prey on the weak and infirm of the buffalo herd. Right, Sydney has not found what he was looking for just yet, but he has found a friend.
A very lovely hornbill. You can see the hornbill is very much relaxed. This is a yellow-billed hornbill. We've got different type of hornbills in the reserve at the moment. This one is one of them. They look similar, but the difference is the color of the beak. If you can look at the color of that beak, on this one is yellow. That is where the name yellow-billed hornbill derived from. This is one of the very interesting species. When it comes to breeding, they have got a very interesting cooperation. They have got what is called brood patch or cooperational breeding, whereby both male and females, they help each other during that egg-laying period. What the male is going to do is that he's going to identify a hole, mostly the holes that has been dug by the woodpecker, hide a female in there. He must then go to the nearest water hole and try to collect a lot of mud. He will then bring the mud and close that hole and leave just a tiny little hole to bring the food. Now, the challenge is, because this bird is closed in that nest, when it comes to the excretion of droppings, is there a long drop in order to get rid of the old droppings, or how does it work? If you can check, the hole has been dug by the woodpecker, and the woodpecker, he doesn't hide there for a long time. He's using the nest to come and sleep and to lay eggs. He's going in and out every day. Now we have got this very beautiful bird staying in and is closed. When it comes to the droppings, how to get rid of the droppings is quite easy for the hornbills. They use the droppings in order to also maintain the mud. Sometimes they use the tiny little hole which is bringing the food to eject the droppings from inside. You will see where they have got a nest on the ground, you will see a lot of droppings, because that female, when she's doing egg laying, she must be ejecting the droppings from the inside together with all the food. Together with all the food that has been left there, all the leftovers must have to be taken out through that little path as well. So you can see Robert, I was saying these birds, they can be able to get rid of these droppings nicely in order to have the interior clean. The species that has got a very interesting, lovely name is the ground hornbill. So just listen to that. Ground horn bill. Lovely, isn't it? So now, let me see what I can find next for you. I will be heading towards the northwestern side of the game reserve. Maybe we are going to be lucky and see something interesting there. Very much quiet here today. Not much is happening. So now, let's see what is happening where Hosanna is on the other side. Maybe there is some other activities taking place there.
Well, Hosanna is still doing precisely as he was before. He stood up a little bit and chewing on his impala. The mystery remains as to how it ended up here, I must say. Something happened here last night. Be interested to know what direction he ran past the dam Cam Inn yesterday evening. So I think he's been in this tree for quite a while. We did have reports of him running past the dam Cam, I think at about 11 o'clock last night. So maybe he pinched it then, I don't know. Hello Teresa G, nice to have you with us. Thank you very much for getting hold of us. You're interested in who names these cats. Well, I'm not going to get into the great political ramifications of trying to name cats, but basically, if you find the cub on Djuma, then the Djuma guides get to name the cub. And the Djuma guides are Taxon and Aubrey, and they chose the name Hosanna for this little fellow here. Sometimes we get our viewers to vote on a name, which is quite fun. It's quite fun for some, quite an emotional experience for others. Get some nice sunlight on him now. Ooh. What a luck it was to find him here today. I'm afraid I missed that Siberia Zoomy. Can we have it again, please, Faith? I'm afraid I'm missing that. Never mind. Ooh. There we go. Crunching of bones. It must be have the hyenas salivating. Must be desperately unhappy not to be eating with Hosanna the male leopard. Kathleen, I imagine that just about any animal is prone to white muscle disease if there is a sufficient lack of selenium, and there's a vitamin associated with that. It's selenium and vitamin E. If there's a sufficient deficiency, I imagine that white muscle disease could probably occur in just about any animal. It is most common, as far as I understand it, in herbivores. Now, the reason Kathleen's asking this question, of course, is that the Nkuhuma Pride, the lions that we saw last night, if they succumbed, a number of their cubs succumbed to white muscle disease during the drought that we had a little while back, and we think that was because the buffalo was succumbing to the same disease, and the buffalo that were dying all over the place, the Nkuhumas were eating, and the meat they were eating was very clearly deficient in selenium and vitamin E and various other nutrients, and we think that's why they succumbed to white muscle disease. It's certainly not very common out here, but I imagine that any predator with a sufficient deficiency, any animal with a sufficient deficiency of those two micronutrients would potentially develop white mussel disease. And what's interesting, of course, is that, as far as I'm aware, vitamin E is either carried by or stored in the fat. And during a drought, of course, fat reserves on these animals will be used up. They will be used up, and then the body will actually start converting muscle or protein into energy. And that's where you sort of get wasting away. And so if all the fat disappears from the body of an animal that's being eaten, then you can rest assured that the selenium and vitamin E, or certainly the vitamin E, will also disappear. And so you can kind of understand why white mussel disease would have occurred out here. And I doubt it was only the lions. We just know that it happened in the lions because when a lion cub dies, everyone has a sort of emotional response to it, and we bring the vets in and we do autopsies and that sort of thing. But when you find a buffalo carcass in a drought, you just say, oh, well, you know, it's a drought. Of course buffalo are going to die from time to time. Antonio, the easiest feature to distinguish Hosanna from other leopards is the fact that he has got a 3-3 spot pattern. Now, you can't see that right now, but basically it's 3 spots above his whisker line on both sides of his nose. It's probably not particularly helpful, but as soon as he looks up at the camera, you'll be able to see what I mean. Sort of see it there. There you go. You can see the 3-3. But you know, many people use different methods of identifying leopards, and a lot of people who've been watching this cat since birth, basically, would be able to identify him just on sight of his face. They wouldn't need to look at his spot pattern. They'd recognize him in the same way that you might recognize your own dog. Not that he's tame in any way. We tend to speak about him in such affectionate terms that you might assume he was tame, but he most certainly isn't. He is still a wild male leopard, not to be trifled with. You can hear the very sort of slight dawn chorus that goes on here during the winter. Got some Franklins going. Apparently Sydney is in the unusual position of finding himself in the bush.
Yeah, I've got a very lovely tree. This is one of the trees I am sure you know by now. This is called the buffalo thorn. This is Ziziphus macronata. There is quite a lot of beliefs around this tree. In my tribe, we come and we take these leaves. You're going to have to come and collect a lot of leaves, and then you put them in a bucket. Then you just have to put some water there. You must go and have a bath in the middle of the night or early in the morning, just before dawn. Washing, make use of these leaves is going to relieve you because it's going to chase away the evil spirit and is going to clear all the bad luck. So this is one of the trees we are using, and we are having a traditional belief on this tree. We use it in order to do too many things. One of them is that, washing away the bad luck. So the animals, they do eat, and we also eat these leaves. The leaves can be used as well as an aphrodisiac. Very nice green leaves, not sour at all, so the taste is not bad. Let me just have a taste. I haven't tasted this tree for quite a long time. You're very much moisturized because of a lot of dew on it. This is very much nice. So it's not bad. For this one, I can even swallow. It's not an issue. It's not a problem. Oh, there's even something here I found very much beautiful. I didn't get the name of the viewer nicely, but thank you very much for the comment. It's quite a lovely tree. So I found also something else who is using this tree for trapping and catching the insects. But nobody is there. I can't see if the spider is there. Let me just look very nicely there. I can't see. I think it's not there. You know, the spiders, some of them, they come and build this and then they lay eggs. And as soon as they lay their eggs, they go and they die. So some of these spider webs, you find them unattended, only with a back sack full of eggs ready for the little ones to come out. They will just go there, lay eggs, and they die out. So the very difficult part of the spiders is that spiders cannot determine when to have a meal, because they are always not too sure if the insects are going to come for them to eat or for them to catch. So they just have to wait and see. And if insects are not coming, they must wait. They must have to fast until the insects come towards the direction of the web. So now I am going to carry on and see if we can find something interesting. I've got a question from Sharon. Hyenas, encountering them on foot are not difficult at all. But in my tribe, we've got a belief that the hyenas chase people who are very short. So what we do there by the villages, if we know there are hyenas in the area, we just have to cut a long stick, and as we are walking, we must have to put the stick here on top of the head so that we can look very big. So hyenas, during the olden days, where I come from, they used to occur by some of the neighboring villages. And these hyenas, this is what they were doing. When you look small, they will follow you. And when going through the dongas, as you are going through the dongas, remember, going down the donga is going to make you look very small. And when they see you going deep, they come chasing in order to catch. But if you have got a long stick extending the size, going down there, you still look very big and they cannot distinguish between you and the stick. So now, let's carry on and see what we are going to find next. So thank you very much for the comment, Nazrek. Yes, it's one of the survival strategies we're using to outrun this kind of hyenas, because they have been occurring a lot where I'm coming from. Quite a lot. I have interacted with quite a lot of animals since my young age. So I come from the northern side of Kruger National Park. So before even Kruger National Park started there, we have been there. So animals, they interact with us on many ways. So now let's see if maybe the colleague of mine, Steve, already got the wild dogs or not.
Unfortunately not. They have been very highly mobile and they've gone straight across there. One of the landowners in Buffelshoek has just called them in a little bit further up from us there. So unfortunately we were on their trail. Rexon had their tracks, and there's also tracks of a female leopard that has just walked straight through there as well. I wonder if the wild dog were following her at some stage. But very interesting. Well, what we're going to keep doing is we're going to check our northern boundary. And we're going to move straight across to the west, see if this cheetah family have come in. And then barring that, we're going to zoom all the way across to the eastern side to see if Kalamba. Yesterday, the area. We did check the area with the drone this morning and we didn't see them. But then we checked that area yesterday morning and they weren't seen. So being underneath the tree, sometimes they disappear with their thermal imagery. So I need to go in and ground truth. So that is our plan for the morning. I know it sounds like quite a lot, but it is a busy morning and it's worth checking out. Malaika, you want to know my favorite smells in the bush? Well, the dwarf sage is by far my favorite smell. I'll see if I can find you some, but you don't find too much of it around here. Chitra Dam has got a nice supply of dwarf sage. I must admit, I do enjoy the smell of leopard urine. Yeah, I just said that. Leopard urine. And something that I quite enjoy, that takes me back to my childhood, is the smell of a buffalo herd. My grandfather had a farm. We used to milk the cows, and I used to go there on holidays, wake up early in the morning, put on my little gumboots and run around and go milk the cows. And the smell of buffalo really brings back those very fond childhood memories for me. Interesting. Leopard urine, buffalo dung, and a plant. That's a nice trifecta. Okay, so because the morning's quite busy, we've had quite a busy morning with the drone. I'm going to attempt to do my Medicinal Mondays this afternoon, and if I'm not on this afternoon, I'm not sure yet of the schedule, I might do it tomorrow morning. So just for those of you who are waiting to hear about my Medicinal Mondays, it is going to be the leadwood tree, and I have got all my things prepared, but drone encompasses an enormous amount of equipment, so this vehicle is very full. So ideally, if I'm on bushwalk this afternoon, I'll do that. I'll definitely do it tomorrow, just so that you know. Okay, well, we're going to keep checking for tracks here in the west. While we do that, James is still with the chief.
I am still with the little chief there. He is sitting in a tree with his breakfast. Oh, he's just dropped a piece, and the hyenas are off. Who will get the piece? No honour amongst thieves. Never has that old adage been so clearly displayed than in the clan of hyenas, where you've got to be very tough indeed to survive. They are not sharers. Karen, I've never seen it. I'm sure it must have happened from time to time that a cat would fall out of a tree while feeding, but I don't think it would be a common thing. They do sometimes make inelegant dismounts, slip. Especially male leopards, they tend not to be quite as good as their female counterparts at climbing. Shame. The hyena on the left is now looking very depressed. It's the smallest one. See that, Craig? That is a look of depression. Would you like a little Prozac? Yes, I'm sure you would. Oh, don't sulk, come on. Sulking is no good. Faith, the question I've heard is, are any of the hyenas related to the iguana? The answer is no. I'm not sure that's what the question was, though. No, now my earpiece is gone. Hang on. Try again. To the late Gwen. Right. Okay, so the late Gwen, I didn't know how... wasn't oh, dear. I wasn't sure that she was late just yet, but I will take your word for it. The late Gwen, of course, one of the hyenas that lived in the Djuma clan, and therefore I'm pretty sure that these are in the Djuma clan, and so therefore the females must be related to her. And I'm pretty sure Chris Rowe could tell you exactly in what way they're related to Gwen, but I don't know exactly in what way. It's most likely that the females are. Females are normally quite closely related, or can be quite closely related, in a hyena clan. Males are the ones that do the dispersal. So we know that Pretty is Madam's daughter. Madam is, or was, certainly the matriarch of this clan, so she'd be a fairly dominant female hyena by virtue of her birth. Well, I don't think it was her that had that piece there, was it? Ah, so the miserable-looking, depressed fellow's name is Comet. There he is there, looking miserable and depressed. You need to cheer up. Maybe see a professional. Alternatively, stop partying so hard in the night. You look like you might have a hangover. You certainly smell like you have a hangover. Like you've been lying in a rubbish tip somewhere for the night. Now, Michael, you say none of them are related to Gwen. I will take your word for that, but I'm not sure how you know it. They could easily be cousins. They may not be direct relatives, but they could easily be cousins. They are most likely cousins or distant relatives. The females, I mean. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Comet was born into this clan, but I'm not sure. Now, what is young Hosanna doing? He is having a sniff around in that tree. The poor unfortunate fellow is going to have to spend quite a long time up there because with 3 hyenas here, he's going to struggle to get away unscathed. And you might just be able to hear the alarm-like call of the crested barbet. Sounds a bit like that. Oh, good, you can hear it. Marvellous. I'm very sad to report that somebody has got on the radio and claimed the hat that I'm wearing, so I'm going to have to hand it over to them when they come and see Hosanna. I've dispensed with my beanie. I'm quite enjoying this as a sun hat at the moment. Fortunately, it won't be for long. Such a shame. It's quite comfortable. I may have to buy one. Right, Sydney is on some tracks now. Let's go and find out what they are.
I've got a very lovely track going towards the southern side of the game reserve. This is from the buffaloes. Buffaloes are part of the ungulates. So ungulates are just the hooved animals. So you can see the buffalo has got 2 toes. And this direction of the track is very easy to see. When the animals are walking, you must check the tip of the track like this. Where it's going, you will see the tip. So they do like this. Let me show you. They do like. So you can be able to see the tip. That helps me in order to determine the direction of movement. So now I'm going to follow this and show you something interesting in related to the buffaloes. So I have got some bones here from the buffaloes, but they are not fresh bones. So these are all the bones from the previous dry season. So you can see that there was a buffalo here. So the lions by that time were eating a lot, and the hyenas were also eating. Some of these bones are open. So these are the buffalo bones. So now I want to show you something interesting with regards to these bones. So where I come from, the buffalo bones can also serve as a medicine. We take a sandpaper or a knife, we scratch against it and have a little bit of powder. Once that powder comes out, we are going to give you to drink with water in order to help you prevent vomiting. When one is vomiting, this can be able to serve in order to relieve those kind of problems. So you can take any bone, So here it doesn't matter whether it's from the head or it's from the legs or from the ribs. Any bone, you can use it just to scratch. As long as the bone is coming from the buffalo, it can assist you with against a vomit. So now I'm just going to carry on and see if we can find some of these interesting little things. So, you know, a guided walk. So, Minamu, I didn't get your question well. FC, if you can repeat that. The buffalo tree leaves, they have got medicinal properties because we use them as an aphrodisiac. So it does help a lot on a lot of things. Not only about aphrodisiac, some other people, they believe that eating the buffalo thorns can also help when it comes to the stomach-related problems. So they serve a lot. These trees, same trees, has got quite a various role in order to prevent a lot of diseases. Some of these trees, I will show you the same tree, but helping on different many diseases. And some of these trees, they don't just work alone. We've got to combine them. So we take some of the different species. Some can be treated together in order to fight against certain diseases. Some don't work alone. Some, they work together with the others. So it's just like, for example, a flu pack. You will find that it's too many different tablets of different colors there. So also by the trees, when we are using them as medicine, we've got to combine some of the trees in order to fight some of the diseases. I am not very sure when it comes to the tea that is making rooibos, but I can show you now some of the trees that can be able to make some of the rooibos. Now, I've got one right in front of me here. Here is the russet bush willow. The russet bush willow, some other people are using them in order to make some tea. They take the seed. So this seed pot, you can be able to make some tea and drink the tea from this. And that tea is also very medicinal. The family of these trees, the Combretum family, a lot of them, you can drink the seed pot. You can drink the water from the seed pot in order to help with chest complaints as well as headaches. So it's quite a very nice tea. I have tested it before. So I have tested it before. It's quite a very lovely tea. So some of these trees, like the russet bush willow I was talking about now, so they normally have the very straight, long stem. And these long stems is what we were using during the olden days in order to build houses. I was staying in a mud house, and that mud house was not built from the bricks. It was built in the following manner. We went out and we picked up these long sticks, and we come, and this is how we do it. I'm going to show you here on the ground. We take these long sticks, and then we dig a circle. And there where we dig the circle, we have to come and arrange all the sticks together. So you will see all the sticks together like this, following a circle. And then after that, we are going to take the mud, and we'll come and put the mud on the sides and also on the inner side. And then it becomes a mud house. You won't see if you don't know that this house is built from the sticks or from the stems from these trees. You are going to think, no, it's a brick hut. So these we use in order to build the huts. And on top, we put the grasses. So now let me see what's happening next here.
Well, yes, good morning, Sydney. I love how Sydney brings all these other very nice traditional things in, things I haven't ever practically done myself, so it's a very nice perspective as well. And, well, we are on the western side. We went past Sydney's dam. How funny is that? It is his dam. He didn't even know it. And we found the tracks of the Unkuhuma pride that were moving around here yesterday. This is where I found their tracks yesterday morning, heading north, and then they got lost in that block, and I think Ralph found them there. But this is an area where the cheetah have quite commonly come in and spent a bit of time. So we're just going to have a little look around here. This is kind of the Sandy Patch Impala Plains area, nice and open. And if they have popped in, there's a good chance it's going to be in and around this area. As I mentioned, those wild dog have gone north. Carol, I have no idea. Wild dogs seem to be always just moving. I think they're picking up the scent of something, and then the alpha male, he starts moving, and the rest just start following. But I think they're constantly looking for food. Either they're running back towards their den site if they have one, or they're chasing food down if they're hungry. And just their strategy of doing it is moving. So they're constantly moving. They don't lie in ambush like the other predators we see do. So it's just a different strategy, I suppose. They cover enormous distance, and in that way they can maybe pick and choose the animals that they want to go for. They're quite selective as well. They will pick the weakest animal that they can catch, and once they've picked one out, they will chase it into the ground. But yeah, that's a very good question. I don't think anything in nature's, the way these animals move is random. There's always a means to it. They're always moving in some direction. When we looked at Hosana the other day, if you were watching on Saturday afternoon, he was lying flat on the ground, and as soon as his Tingana went to go drink, Hosana looked up and went up the tree. Tingana was looking at the water. So there's always a motive. Let me move to the shade, let me go drink, let me hunt, let me have a toilet stop. There's always some motive to their movement, and maybe the dogs have just got so much energy they like to go for a walk while they're doing it. Hard to say. Very busy, very, very busy, the dogs. But talking about the wild dogs and their daytime activities, that is what we're hoping now to find, is the cheetah, who are also daytime movers. And what a whole lot of activity is happening around lately, isn't it? And we always talk about how when winter comes, how the activity seems to increase, because the animals are sort of localized to certain areas, easy to find because of the lack of vegetation or the dwindling leaves around. But not always that easy to find, just a little bit easier. What have you got, Seb? Oh, we have got the tallest of the animals in the upcoming. We have got at least 3 of the most iconic animal in Africa. Well, I think it's probably the most iconic animal. If you spend time at Johannesburg International Airport, Oliver Tambo Airport, you'll see how many people are climbing on the train with wooden sculptures of exactly what I'm about to show you. So just give me one moment to get a little bit closer. There we go, Seb. And there they are. The big reveal is 3 beautiful giraffe. There they are. I wonder if they know what activity's been going on and around. All sorts of activity. The lions, we don't know where they are. On my way through to go and follow up on Tundi after we've figured out if these cheetah have come in or not. I'll see exactly where those lion tracks have gone. James is obviously stationary with Hosana. So we have the whole of Juma to myself. So I'm going to be moving off from these giraffe, checking the roads once again, and let's go have a look at the little chief who I think is coming down.
Well, the little chief seems to be deciding that he's quite uncomfortable and that he'd like to come down the tree. But of course he does have to run the gauntlet of 3 hyena. This is his own personal gauntlet. I'm using the word, of course, because that is what our series coming up at 11 p.m. on Friday night, Eastern Time in the United States, Nat Geo Wild, is called SafariLive, dun, 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 The Gauntlet. They didn't allow me to record the soundtrack for it, everybody. Unfortunately, I would have done it exactly like I've just done it for you. They decided that wasn't quite sort of up to scratch. Thank you. Faith agrees that it was very lovely. See, now he doesn't really know if he wants to come down. Perhaps there's a branch he could lie on. Romet, no, we don't know of any new male leopards in the area just yet. There could be one at any stage, of course. Hukumuri is the newest male leopard that we know of. A large and fairly severe-looking fellow. But we haven't seen him for some time. He is around, but we haven't seen him on Juma for a while. Hosana, you cannot sleep on a tree like this, really. I must confess it amazes me how agile they are in the trees, given that, of course, they have no thumbs, so they cannot hold on or grip a branch. He's decided rather than lie down, he'll just stuff himself further. You may also be able to hear the monkeys shouting behind him. They've just got out of bed. Because the textbooks will say no, that it is highly unlikely that a male leopard would ever team up with his father to toss out an interloper. I suppose it might happen indirectly, in so much as the presence of two large male leopards in this area could deter the presence or the advance of Hukumuri. I'm just listening quietly to the very pleasant sounds of the monkeys calling, and it's quite and the red-billed buffalo weavers. It's quite amusing because, of course, the monkeys have only just realised there's a leopard here, and yet he's been here for well over an hour and a half. Now, very exciting news. I won't let the surprise out of the bag just yet, but Steve is on his way to Chitwa to find an old friend of SafariLive's. I hope very much that he manages to get there in time. Elvis Vagulaver I radio. I'm just telling Elvis, who's behind us, that they want him on the radio. This is very, very amusing sighting now, because he can't, if you watch him carefully, he can hardly breathe. He's so full. Such a fat belly. Isn't that great? He'd so love to have a lie down, but there's just no space for him to have his lie down. Just going to quickly tell Tax something. Tax, come straight here. I've been here a long time. I'll move out as soon as you get here. We might have to move out, but that's okay. We've had a wonderful view of the skitty again. I'm just getting an update now from Steve on the radio that the cheetahs that Tristan has been promising us are going to come across from Arathusa have now gone west rather than east. Now, what is he looking at? I think he's probably just looking at the monkeys, actually. And desperately thinking of where he's going to lie down. He's going to lie in his plate. There we go. Now, I've just heard the most remarkable thing on the radio. Sydney is still walking.
Look at that. Just want to try and see what happened here. You can see this is not that very old. It's very much fresh. And this animal who did this from the horns. And this is not a small animal. And I have seen big animals such as buffaloes. They like to do this. They like to sharpen their horns. They like to sharpen their horns from these branches. So this might have been the buffalo. So I can see there as well. Anna Marie, I have been charged by buffaloes on food, and not once, not twice. It's just that buffaloes, it's very much easy to contain the situation. They are not that very bad. But when they have got some babies, they can also be a little bit aggressive. The darker boys are those buffaloes that normally walk by themselves. You see them full of mud everywhere. Those are the ones which can be very much dangerous. I have been charged not once, not twice, but I've survived. No injuries, nothing, without running away. So you can see here, the buffalo was trying to sharpen the horns. This is what they do. So you can see that it's very much strong. It's very much hard. It means the top part of the horns is very much rough. You can see that this has been scratched by the top part. It's like a sandpaper. It took everything out here. So you can see actually debarked the tree. So now, here where I am, the chances of seeing the buffaloes are very high this morning. So I'm just going to try and see if we can see them before we finish. I'm just going to walk deep in these bushes and see. Maybe from that angle we might see. Beverly, the trees which can be used for paint, different paints, I will show you just now. Let me look around here and see if maybe I can identify any of the trees. Here where I am now, there's only one species of tree dominating, which is the Russian bush willow. So, but where I have started, there are some of the trees such as the silver cluster leaf. You can go there, you can chew the leaves. They can help you to relieve toothache pain. You can take the inner bark, and the inner bark, you can tie it on your head. It also helps to fight against headache pains. And apart from that tree, there is quite a lot of other trees which can serve the same purpose. So I was just trying to look around and see if maybe accidentally I will see that tree so that I can show you. But I can see here that the trees that are relieving the headaches and pains, they are not occurring exactly here where I am. So the trees that we are seeing here is just the same species. So this is they are all the bush willows. Justine, the smell of hyena, from my own experience, this is from my experience, the hyenas, they smell, if you go to the den, that den smells like a dead animal. So it's a very much distinctive smell. So it's like a dead animal. You know when the carcass is going through different stages, not when it's rotten, but a dead animal, a carcass that is there for quite a long time. So it smells like that. So they are very lovely animals, the hyenas. But the fact that the hyenas eat carrions, the rotten meat, yes, it means that rotten meat might also give them that kind of a smell. Nina Mu, the predators, not only the hyenas, the chances of their little ones to survive are very much low because they always predate each other. So now hyenas, chances of the little ones to survive are not 100% because they have got to go out and look for food and sometimes leave the little ones unattended, hidden by the dens. So if anything comes there, problems can occur. The grass is still very wet at this stage. So I can see it has been very wet. The dew was just everywhere. So now the sun is drying the grasses. So a lot of animals, such as the buffaloes, they get a lot of benefits from this grass when the grass is wet like this. So in the morning is the best time for them to graze. So now let me see if we can go to James and see what is happening on his side.
Well, we have left Hosanna, and that's just because he's doing the same thing as he was before. Obviously, you're about to hopefully get a surprise from Steve, and we want to just go and check if Tandi isn't around still with Kalamba. So, you know, lots of options out here today. On Monday morning, I always like to remind myself of the day. Monday morning began with looking at Hosanna the male leopard in the morning sun. Infinitely better than being on my way in the darkness to teach children how to play the guitar. This is what I used to do. Make my way through the freezing cold darkness of the Johannesburg winter. Arrive at school in time for the first lesson at 6:30, whereupon a bleary-eyed child, overworked and overpressured for their young ages, would come in, having not practiced at all during the week. Why haven't you practiced, Alan? I didn't have time, sir. I must have had time, Alan. Don't be ridiculous. We've been playing G for 6 weeks. Anyway, enough of the trials of Alan. Hopefully Alan by now has received a more patient guitar teacher. Bronak, a leopard will absolutely hunt a monkey. They enjoy eating monkeys. I wish they'd eat a few more around our camp. They're becoming a bit of a menace around there at the moment. But yes, they will definitely eat monkeys if they can get them. It's quite difficult for them to catch them because a monkey is A, fast, and B, very good in the trees. So if they catch them on the ground, then they will definitely take them. And young male leopards like that quite often take baboons. Most leopards learn fairly quickly, though, that a baboon is not to be trifled with. A big male baboon has got bigger canines than a leopard and weighs about the same. Giraffe tracks, while Sydney has found something you might find on the flag of a pirate.
I have got a very beautiful skull. This skull, I was trying to look here, but looking at the shape of the skull is telling me that this was a buffalo. So now I cannot see the horns. Horns got disappeared. So now the question is, these animals, when they kill these animals, the herbivores, predators, do they eat the horns as well? What happened to the horns? Do they eat the meat and the horns? Definitely not. But who eats these horns? You know, there are some of the insects which are very much interesting. They are called the horn borers. The horn borers is kind of a moth. What they do is that they come and they are so well designed, their digestive system can be able to digest keratin. Keratin is one of the material consisting the horns of these animals. So if you've got old horns, you will see by these old horns, you will see quite a lot of tubes. You will see the protuberance of the tubes, brown tubes coming out. Those brown tubes, they are done by this horn borer moth. They use their own droppings in order to create the tubes so that they can hide away from difficult temperatures, high temperatures, and they can also hide away from predation. So those are the insects which are responsible to decompose the horns and the keratin. The keratin which is also on the hoofs. They eat the hoofs and the horns. So you can see that in the bush, nothing is wasted. So everything, the meat is eaten by the predators themselves, and some other animals will come and scavenge. Bones will also be eaten by some of these animals, such as hyenas, and some of the herbivores will also get a benefit because when lacking of minerals such as calcium, they eat the very same bones. Now, the keratin is also eaten by these smaller insects, the horn borer moth. So now, I am going to carry on and see what's happening next in this bush. I must leave it there because animals must have to come and finish that bone. It will take time, but it will happen. So I was just presenting. I can't take it at all. So the grass is very much long here where I am. It's not very easy to see this tiny little interesting stuff. So, but I'm winning. I've seen a lot so far. So this area where we are is a special preferable area by the buffaloes because they like this kind of grasses. So there's a spider web there, so I can't go there. I don't want to disturb the spiders. Otherwise, these spiders, they must have to pitch the web again. And some of these spiders, they do come and pitch, and they must have to take the web again. If they don't take the web again, then they will have a problem when it comes to their digestive system. Michelle, yes, the snakes here in the grasses, yeah, they can hide. However, we are at the wrong season. The snakes are not too much active during the winter season. Yes, we do see some of these snakes. It's not like 100% snakes are hiding. We can't find them during the winter season. We do. When the temperatures are right, during the daytime, I have seen a lot of big tracks and some other big snakes such as pythons. They wake up running about 11:30 and 3:30. You will see they do some of their activities during the winter season, and which is a season declared a hibernation season for the reptiles. But you will see them active during that period. So I've got to be careful. But now I can feel that it's not that very warm. It's not warm enough to activate snakes now where I am. They will come out, but the sun must have to be strong enough to support their body. Yeah, this grass is very much long. If a snake is hiding, I won't see them easily. So now, let's see Steve on the other side. Maybe Steve has got something interesting for us.
Yes, well, we do. We have found the hippos of Chitwa watering hole. And just some updates along the way. We had some tracks of the Unkuhuma Pride crossing south, and there are reports that they are on Hoffman's, which is just a bit southeast of Chitwa. And so they are there indeed. And we also had heard some updates through the grapevine that Quarantine, the male leopard, was around Chitwa, but he is not on Chitwa. The updates maybe that were given a little bit past their date. If he was, he is not here today. So we were quite excited to come and see him. I've never seen that big male quarantine, but he's not around at the moment. So you can't bypass Chitwa watering hole without a glimpse at the hippopotamuses enjoying their morning slumber after no doubt a really long night of foraging. Going to keep quiet for a moment to let you take in all of these ambient sounds that are surrounding us. It's a beautiful sound in the morning. And what better place, Seb, to stop and have a coffee? Yep. We bring coffee along on these game drives. It's one of the highlights, being able to stop at a beautiful watering hole, enjoy a coffee. Sometimes people add a little bit of amarula cream to their coffee or hot chocolate. I am driving. Seb can have some though, can't you, Seb?
I'm going to be out of focus.
Seb said he might be out of focus if he has some amarula cream. If you guys want to know if Scuba Steve is here, well, we picked up Scuba Steve on the thermal drone this morning. He was in a Buffelshoek watering hole already. I wouldn't know how to identify him amongst all of these guys. The only way I know how to identify him is by being in Buffelshoek Dam watering hole on his own. But maybe every now and again he comes down here for a little weekend away, hang out with the ladies, maybe spend some time with some of the other boys. You can hear some all sorts of birds. We've got the blacksmith lapwing. It is very peaceful. We've also got the Karen is very peaceful. We've also got the funny sound of the greater blue-eared starling. He stops now, of course. Pied wagtails calling. Chip, 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 chip. There was an African fish eagle when we arrived, but he took off since. So, Faith, you broke up in the end there. Chitty Chatty Meg wants to know if the hippo's related to someone. Chitty Chatty Meg, well, it's not really what I think, I suppose, but they have gone and classified the hippo as being closely related to the whale due to the fact that they spend most of their time in the water, they communicate in the water, they feed, no, they don't feed, they can feed in the water, they give birth in the water, they rear their young in the water, and they also defecate in the water. And they can go underneath for a little while. So all those classifications put together put them in the same sort of family, although the whale is not able to walk on land or feed on grass. So it is a very interesting classification. But when you look at classification and taxonomy, it is all just, it's the need for people to compartmentalize things. It has to be identified. It has to be in an order. It has to be able to be put in a section, a category. Otherwise, it doesn't exist. So that is what we do. We make sure that everything fits. It's just the way that I suppose the humans are. We need to. It has to fit in, or we don't understand it. If we don't understand it, we don't. we don't want to watch it if we don't understand it. It has to be understandable. There's no room for mystery in the scientific world. But I think you should just say hippos are their own. They're their own unique characters. And there is the darter, which is also his own very unique sort of character. He feeds on the fish that are bred by the hippo feces or dung. We should call it dung. Hippos don't have feces, they have dung. They're feeding on the grass out the water, and their very important ecological role is by bringing that grass into the water, which is then fed upon by numerous fish. Then the African darter, also known as the snake bird, swims around and catches with his very sharp beak. The darter is very closely related to the cormorants, but although they are very, very different. And here we've got a plover on the right and two blacksmith lapwings on the left, and they are being very aggressive towards him. They were both once known as plovers, but the taller one is now known as a lapwing, and the little one is still a plover, the three-banded plover and the blacksmith lapwing, and they have a very similar sort of overlap when it comes to feeding, and that's why the blacksmith lapwing is chasing the little one. And there, that is some elephant dung that has no doubt got some insects on it that the plover is quite enjoying munching around. The watering hole brings large herbivores here where they deposit their dung and insects are bred. Sorry about the vehicle there. Ooh, that is the bit of the drone. And so the lapwing's competing for whatever insects are on the side. That is my turf, he says. And you can see by his behavior as being antagonistic and chasing the smaller of the two. And their job is to move around the edge of the watering hole and feed on all sorts of insect life that is also being perpetuated and grown due to the organic material that is within the water, all provided, no doubt, by the hippopotamuses, or should we say the whales of the African wilderness. That is a male. Looks like a male, a young male. You see, females have got a beautiful pink eyeliner around the eye, and the males do not have the pink eyeliner. Apart from that, size is the other way we normally go for it. There you can see a lot of the organic material floating around on the top of the water, no doubt from the hippo's excrement. Well, we're going to stay here and enjoy the rest of my coffee, and let's go over to James Hendry and see if he's managed to find Tundi.
No, I haven't. I haven't managed to find Tundi. I think she's moved. We've looked a little bit around where she was, off the road yesterday. Didn't find anything there. I'll just drive a little bit down this road here and see if there are any tracks of them going down this way. Then we turn around and go back around the other way. I would be very surprised if she was still around here, because the kill is finished and she had been there for 3 or 4 days. But I do not see any tracks of a leopard in this area, and therefore I think we will turn around. Interestingly also, there are no hyenas around, which indicates that they certainly don't feel there's any chance of meat in the offing. Let's turn here. We will now execute a 3-point turn. Maybe we'll make it 2 points. There we go. 2 it is. Marvellous. It's very exciting. This probably is the most remarkable segment I've ever done. I'm sure you were all thoroughly entertained by it. I certainly was. I'm breathless with exhaustion, having performed it for you, and so we're now going to go over to Sydney.
I am right on top of the big house constructed by one of the smallest insects, which is the termites. And from my own experience, I have realized that quite a lot of animals, they've got a very big trust on termites. I have seen elephants climbing the termite mounds. I've seen some other animals such as the warthogs, animals such as the hyenas, also using the termite mound as a den. So now I'm just going around here. I have seen that the hyena was using this as a den. So I just want to try and check. So these hyenas, they've got quite a lot of trust on these termites, because if the clan of hyenas is staying in here, and it's not one, it's not two, not afraid of this construction to fall on them, it means really these kind of animals, they do trust the termites. So how the termites are building is amazing. They are very good builders. So otherwise, animals were not going to trust them. Imagine if the hyenas are hiding underneath this and the elephant is on top. You can see that when the elephant is walking there, if this thing falls, obviously the hyenas are going to get a big problem. So this hole I've got here is not an active hole, but let me try to sniff. Now there's no smell. I can't smell anything at all. Yeah, so the question which came earlier about the smell of the hyenas, here the smell is already cleared. It means it has been a long time ago. Why am I saying is the hyena who was using the den? Because of the following evidence. I saw that there is some keratin from the hoofs. There is even some bones around here. And also that side, there's some small bones. And this is also a bone. So the only animal which can be able to drag these bones close to the den is the hyena. So this means a hyena was using this den for hiding purposes, is where they were staying. So the termites, I've got a question from Carol. Yes, Carol, the animals, some of them, they do use the termite mounds when the termites are still active. On this one, I'm going to give you a very good example. We've got some of the reptiles, such as the snakes. And these snakes, they got attracted by the temperature which is provided by the termites in there. Remember, termites can be able to regulate the temperature up to 36 to 37 degrees Celsius. And that temperature is more or less the same as our normal body temperature. That temperature then attracts these kind of snakes to come and hide. So some of these animals, they do come and utilize these kind of holes in order to get benefit from the termites as they are doing their activities under the ground. So I just want to try and see. Malaika, the biggest challenge out in the bush, I haven't experienced anything like that. But from my other colleagues, the only thing that I have learned, which can be very challenging, is encountering a honey badger on foot. That is one of the small mammals which can be very much aggressive. They are very much difficult. Lions and leopards are way much better than the honey badgers. So it's something I might experience, not sure. I'm not sure, but I might experience that because here where I am, in this game reserve, Juma, there are quite a lot of honey badgers around here. Oh, there's a little path. And I just want to try and check if there has been some activities here early this morning or last night. Because it seems like the animals that are residing here are depending on this footpath. But it's quiet. No evidence at all showing animals' activities here by this little path this morning. Oh yes, I've got something here. I've got something, but this is a plant. It's a very interesting plant. I love this. This is what is called the monkey's tail, a baboon's tail. You know, these plants, they have got a very interesting purpose. This is a traditional belief. When I grew up, we used to go up the mountains. It's not easy to get hold of these plants here where there are no mountains and no rocks. So we are very lucky to have them here because their preferable place is high up the mountains. So these kind of trees, we come and take the following. We take the outer skin. So here is the The dead one is not dead, but they are just hiding now. Come rainy season, they are going to be green again. So look, you see, we come and take this. If you take this kind of a skin and you just put it in the pocket, going for the interviews, you're going to be the best. So this is one of the charm plants. It's a grass. We use it as for charm, for good luck. So if you can just have a piece of this, have it in your pocket every time, going for the interviews, they believe is that whatever you're going to say there, the people, they are going to like it. So it's a lovely plant. I grew up using this. And let me tell you the story. I did my guiding qualification in early 2007. And I did the guiding qualification in Mpumalanga, and I did my practicals in Limpopo. And we were 11 students. And after that, I went for an interview in the area where I did my interviews, my practicals. So I did interviews with all my other 10 colleagues. I was having this kind of a plant in my pocket. I went for the interviews, and these other guys, they went first, I went last. I went there, and the interviews was conducted by 3 panel members. And I got that interview, and I strongly believe that I got the interview as a result of this plant. So this plant, to me, is a plant that I've got to honor. Assisted me a lot in order to get hold of my first employment. Okay. Yeah, I'm still looking for the tiny, little interesting things. The big animals are hiding away from me this morning. So now I'm going to be looking towards this side.
And we have found no tracks of Thandi and Thalamba. We might, as we go, the haunt of our bard. And I'm hoping Bard Owlet, which I have seen now at the same place twice, he's still here. It will be quite fun. A bad signal for some reason. Let's go to Steve.
Hello everybody, terribly sorry about James's signal. He must be in some little depression somewhere. In the search of leopards, you need to go to all places. Sometimes impossible to produce any signal from there. But don't worry, you're with us. We have moved on from Chitwa Watering Hole, and we are now checking the airstrip. Looks like a marvelous place to do some sprints. Conrad, you watching? Yes, this would be a good place to do some running. Conrad, who's the tech magician, loves to run with me. It's nice to have a partner in crime when it comes to exercising. Forces you to, you dedicate yourself. 12 o'clock we're running, and then when you go have a nap and you feel like rolling over when the buzzer goes to get ready, because you've committed to someone else, you're going to get up, aren't you? So it's important. Anyway, we're having a look, see what we might be able to see in these open areas around the airstrip. As I said, the Nkuhuma Pride, somewhere down that side, just off of the Chitwa Traverse. But when lions are found early, most vehicles tend to gravitate that way. So it leaves all these other areas available for us to search and to just, as you know, how many times just driving around do you find animals? It happens all the time. Sometimes you even nearly run them over when you're looking back at the camera like this. You've got to keep looking forward. Do you remember that, Seb? Osana last weekend. So I know quarantine was mentioned, and imagine we just bumped into him now. These things are very possible. We're 100% live. Anything could happen. There could be anything. Anything. Animals galore out here. I love coming onto this airstrip because you just see all the activity of the wildebeest and hyena up and down. And James obviously being out of signal, we will just talk a little bit more. Yeah, go ahead, Faith. I'm sure you'll be finding activity of Tundi shortly. We're going to loop around out of Chitwa and then go give him a little bit of a hand. Antonio, hippos will mate in the water and then also give birth in the water itself. Two of the sort of classifications behind why they are related to whales now, because the mating happens in the water, and also I think that probably helps with the buoyancy, because hippos are quite awkward. Imagine seeing a hippo trying to mount a female hippo out of the water. It would be quite a feat. I don't think you'd be able to climb up on some steps to access. So being on top of the, or in the water, gives them that buoyancy, takes away the weight of the animal, and also the pregnancy happens in the water, which means that the youngsters can be born a little bit less developed. When you look at rhinoceros, they've got the white rhino's got a gestation of 15 months, whereas the hippo's got 9 months. So that's 6 months, give or take a few days either side, that the rhino is still pregnant for, where the hippo gives birth. In the water, far less developed, a little bit more secure in the water from predators. Dropping a very underdeveloped baby on the ground, it needs to be able to walk, to be able to keep up with mum, to move away from the birth site, because hyena and lion will find that animal if not. So one of the advantages, I suppose, of being a hippo, but then the disadvantage is that we are in an arid environment, and we do have droughts from time to time. And if you have a drought and you're an animal that relies heavily on water for survival, for keeping your body nice and wet, then hippos do struggle. And last year there was huge problems with hippo and buffalo due to the drought and the decreasing amount of water. So you always have to have water to keep yourself going, whereas the rhino just needs a little bit of mud and a bit of water for drinking. They need to submerge themselves. Hello, Malika. You want to know if I've got any memory of an odd behavior? I'm trying to think. I'm still learning as we go. I saw a Tingana standing on the tree the other day and defecating on the ground from the top of the tree and then urinating on the hyena's face. So, oh my word, I didn't even see him. Hello, sir. Sorry about that. He's busy feeding a waterbuck. Here's a bulk grazer, similar to that of the hippo with regards to the bulk that they feed on, but the hippo has got an enormous mouth. If you compare that to the size of the waterbuck's mouth, the waterbuck can be far more selective in their feeding. He does look like a reindeer. And talking about animals that are dependent on water, these animals you'll never find more than half a mile, maybe a mile away from water, never much further than that. They require an enormous amount of moisture. They feed on a lot of bulk grass, and they drink twice as much water as a buffalo. And a waterbuck male probably weighs about a third of a buffalo male, and yet they need twice as much water. And that's quite evident in their dung. Their dung is very, very wet, but they have evolved in very wet climates, or should I say wet environments, like the Okavango Delta. They are quite well related to the puku, I believe, the sitatunga, the sort of more water-loving animals. And these very nice horns. This is a beautiful specimen of waterbuck male. And you can see his head is down. He's just munching and filling his belly. Was the Wisteria whisperer, he is a very good-looking waterbuck. I reckon the ladies agree with you as well when they see him. They go, "Ooh, what a marvelous fellow." And you can see how he's busy feeding. He's just munching all of the good grass down. It's quite dry at the moment, hence why he needs a little bit more water to help its digestion. But with these ruminating animals, they chow on their food and then go and spend a bit of time in the shade as the sunshine reveals itself. So you can come out into this area where feeding becomes risky. He's by himself. He could quite easily be snuck upon by a lion. So the less time he spends out feeding, the better. And when he wants to ruminate, he'll probably go close to the water, have a huge gulp of water, and then sit in the open clearing with some shade and then stare off into the distance and hopefully not get caught by any lions. There we go. Romit, his horns do look in great shape. You can see how edged they are. That edging helps to lock them when they interact, when the males catch each other. But the end is quite sharp. You can see he's had a few battles. It's a bit chipped on the end there. Both of them are chipped. He's definitely a seasoned veteran, this one. And often when you find big males on their own, they've either are a dominant male who has a small territory, or they have been sort of excommunicated, as you will, as a male who's now lost his territory, and he'll never be social again. You can quite often find sort of territorial males taking on and keeping younger males within their territory to assist them when need be, and to fend off rival males when the need arises, and he tolerates them. But once that male is displaced, eventually then he moves off and becomes a very solitary bull, which this guy very likely could be. It's hard to really say. They don't have a status symbol on the side of their jacket, but he is looking in very good condition. He's a fully mature bull. And a very nice white ring on the bottom. Those of you who've watched the show will have noticed we've also got the Dafasa waterbucks up in Kenya. Siberia zooming, the patterns for the ridged horns always the same. Well, invariably they are, but you can find impala here, and then you can find impala up in the Mara that have got a very different quality to the diet. And the horns up in the Mara, the horns are much bigger. They're not necessarily thicker, but the set of horns up there, and the species is apparently the same species. I suppose you could almost call them a subspecies through to geographical change, but I don't notice any difference between the waterbuck horns here and the ones you find up there. Seb, do you see a difference? They seem very much the same. So genetically, the design of the horns is the same, but you can see in areas where maybe you've got a low occurrence of certain minerals, you can get a change in the horn size, and when you get an increase in certain minerals, you can get a much larger increase in the size of horns. That I've seen notably with kudu. Maybe it's got a lot to do with animals that browse, because like I said, the impala have got a very different set of horns up north than the impala down here. But the waterbuck, I haven't really seen a change. But he's a very nice specimen. He's very relaxed. I think he's got an earpiece as well, and he's got the update that the Unkuhumas are far away, so he's making hay while the sun shines by scoffing as much grass as he can. Well, what a beautiful specimen. Seb, I think we're going to move on. Let's see what else we can find in the depths of Chitwa. We are right on the eastern side of Chitwa now. Bye-bye, sir. Enjoy your munches. We'll see you later at the dam. No doubt he'll be having a few drinks at the watering hole as time goes on. Okay, well, we're going to continue on, see what we can mysteriously come across in our adventures. And while we do that, let's see if Sydney's managed to find anything interesting.
Yeah, I do have a very interesting track here of the buffaloes. It's just that this morning it was not easy to find them, because buffaloes, they get excited when there's dew, when the grass are moisturized, so they get excited on that. But apart from that, in the same area, there has been some lions spotted last night, and that might also maybe contributed towards their activities for this morning. So lions, they always go after this kind of animals, buffaloes, because also here on the ground I can see there's too much buffaloes and lions tracks showing that lions are after the buffaloes. Yes, the tracks that I've got, they look very fresh for last night, but now in the morning it's difficult to find them. I'm sure the lions disturbed this. But all these tracks were just heading towards the eastern side of the game reserve. maybe before we finish we might see them, and if not, we might see them anytime during the day. So these are very much big buffaloes. I can see this track looks very big. Look at that. Yeah, this is a very big track. Look, even my 4 fingers can't fit there. So it's one of those big ones. Maybe it was one of the Dagger boys. The Dagger boys are my favorite buffaloes. And they don't mind. If you see them walking, you will see they just walk as if they are bored. As if they are not interested or they are not serious. They just walk like this. As if they are not serious on anything. So now, I just want to try and check if these buffaloes are in this direction. But the problem is the lions, their tracks also went towards this direction. So the chances of seeing the buffaloes at this stage, they are very much low on foot. Maybe driving, we can see them. I hope I'm going to find them maybe this afternoon. Yeah, so now we can go to James and hear. Maybe James has got something on his side.
I've got nothing on my side. I'm doing my best to find something on this side. We are now central Juma, heading back towards where Hosanna is. I think we'll have probably one last look at him before the end of the drive. If we find any Tundi tracks, I could easily have missed them, but I wonder if she just isn't in the same block, quite close to where that kill was, just resting up for the day, with a big fat full belly. We'll go back there in the afternoon and see if we don't get lucky with her. Oh, Beverly, I'm the fastest animal on our property. I'm very fast. That's not true. I'm not the fastest animal on our property. I guess if the cheetah coalition, or not coalition, the cheetah family isn't here with us, then it would probably be sort of straight off the mark speed. I would go with Hosanna. It's probably the fastest. Top end speed, there are no lions on the reserve right now, and so it won't be one of them. Top end speed, you'll probably find it's an impala. They're particularly quick. Yeah, I'm going to go with an impala. Common as you like, but I guarantee you, over 100 meters, Usain Bolt in his prime wouldn't have had a chance. But over 40 meters, I don't think anyone is going to beat a leopard. I think their ability to get from maybe 20 meters. Yeah, let's call it 20 meters. Their ability to get from 0 to full speed in one stride is unbelievable. Explosive speed. Well, they don't ever have to run for big distances. Wild dogs probably not that fast, top end. I don't think they're as fast as something like an impala. Ex-Ranger, I didn't get a finder's fee for finding the hat. No, in fact, I got a dirty look. I was wearing it when the owner drove up in the game drive vehicle, and she looked at me and she said, "That's my hat." So I looked back at her and I said, "No, my dear, that was your hat." Well, she didn't seem to find it very funny, so I took it off and gave it to her and replaced it with my own. Anyway, there was a leopard in the tree. I think she was concentrating more on the leopard than on my weak attempt at being humorous. Let's drive a little bit faster so that we can have one more look at him. We don't have very long. Left. Did Steve manage to make it to quarantine? Or was there a great big lineup of thousands of cars waiting? Oh, there wasn't a leopard there. Oh, so it was a false intelligence We'll have to have a word with our intelligence operatives down at Chitwa. Through the medium of a Molotov cocktail, perhaps. I'm joking, I wouldn't really go that far. It's probably a bit inappropriate. Let's drive quickly to Hosanna before I say anything else silly. We're not far, about a minute. Steve apparently is also driving now, so let's go and find out where he's driving.
We are on the Gowrie Main access now. Well, the road. We've just come out of Chitwa. Nothing popped up into our view, except for as you went off from us, we spotted a male and female steenbok that looked like they were on a date. I think they were having a bit of a quarrel because they were keeping a little bit of a distance from each other and a little bit of a shoulder as well. Shame. It's not nice to quarrel on a date. We're going to slowly head back. And I know if Taylor was here, she would have started talking about breakfast about 45 minutes ago. So now my mind is starting to think, what is for breakfast? What do you think, Seb?
What's today, Monday?
It's Monday. Monday breakfast.
Maybe French toast?
Could be French toast. I have no doubt, though, that the meat eaters will be offered bacon this morning.
Will be bacon.
I have a very strong feeling there'll be bacon. And there will be a smoothie of sorts. And there will probably be some scrambled egg. We had scrambled egg yesterday. Okay, there will be no scrambled egg. Very hard to say. All I know is whatever is going to be offered, I'm sure it will go down very well. The breakfasts have been very nice of late. We've been having breakfast at 8:30, and what's the time now? It's 8:30. That's why my stomach...
Hello everybody, we're back here with the leopard, Mr. Hosanna. There he is. He's managed to escape from his friends, the hyenas, and here he's found himself some shade. He looks to be in a bit of a sulk though, can you see that? What a splendid morning we've had. It started very early at 5:30 with our drone tests. And here we are now finishing off as the warmth starts to filter through the low veld. And finishing off with a gentle breeze and a magnificent leopard. Apparently today is Online Appreciation Day. I don't know what Online Friend Appreciation Day is. I'm assuming it's a day for appreciating your online friends. So I hope you're all being nice to each other today. Thank you for that, Faith. I hope you're not insulting each other and fighting with each other like you normally do. Of course, I am being facetious. I know that you don't fight with each other. You can also appreciate Hosanna on Twitter if you like. You can send him your regards on Twitter. He has a Twitter handle, twitter.com/Hosanna I'm amazing. That's his Twitter handle. Hosanna I'm amazing. That's what I mean. He's a bit of a poser. Look at him. He's having a nice sleep now. Now this evening will be a normal drive, beginning at 1500 hours, ending at 1800 hours, as far as I'm aware. And tomorrow morning the same again as this morning. There will be rehearsal. No, is there a rehearsal tomorrow morning? No, there isn't. We have more rehearsals sometime during the week, but there is a blog post out telling you about those. Thank you very much for joining us on our wonderful drive. It's been great. Thank you for your questions and your comments and all your contributions. We will see you at 1500 hours. Until then, goodbye.